Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another Total War Arena news update. Shortly after I have brought to you the developer log number 2, discussion, analysis, commentary, whatever, in which the developers have teased another developer log coming soon. Well, here it came, the developer log number 3, battle level return. And let us again stroll past the Chinese message translated back into English to the original English message below that reads: Hi commanders, we know that the current situation with matchmaking may be challenging for some of you. Despite rebalancing of unit tiers, the game seems unfair in some of the matchups. We are planning steps to improve your experience, and the first of them is reintroducing 2 battle tiers in PvP mode. To make sure that new players have more friendly conditions to learn the game and unlock new units, we combined tiers 3 to 5 in one group. This way, players using low tier units will have a chance to improve, try new things, and have significant impact on the result of the battle. As for the experienced players, we still want to provide exciting battles with short matchmaking time. For now, we'll combine unit tiers from 5 to 10. This way, tier 5 players will sometimes be at the top and sometimes at the bottom of their team, which seems fair. This change is another temporary solution on the way to returning balance to the game. Sounds like restore the balance to the force. Wait, what? We are looking at you, Kanane. See you in the arena. Obviously. So maybe if you watched the previous video, and maybe you remember, I said something along the lines that I do not envy the person or a team of people that is or are responsible for agglomerating the feedback from the community and then passing it on to the developers, because they need to be extremely smart about the human psychology and why they say the things they say in the first place, and that what they propose may not actually be what they really want to see. And then they also need to be very knowledgeable about the game, as well as all the other developers that are then further down the line responsible for the balance. So there can be 2 cases. Either the developers truly believe that ranged units, in particular Kanane, are too strong because they keep nerfing them pretty much in every single patch. And then they're just wrong. Or they know exactly what they're doing, and what they're doing is appeasing to a larger, broader, casual audience of the game that doesn't understand the balance. So I hope that they do understand, and they just know that the people playing the game don't understand. They just try to appease them, rather than them not understanding the balance in the first place. You can draw your own conclusions as to which one it is in the comments below, I guess. I'll dare not to venture there. But I will show you some clips, I think, at the end. Actually, just a few days ago, we played in the morning, and we had 2 battles that perfectly illustrate some of the points that I really want to bring up. So yeah, I'll just show you the clips at the end of the video or later on. We'll see. But let's get back on track and let's talk about the actual matchmaking changes that are done to PvP. So in the previous video, I provided 2 main points in my feedback. First, bring back the tier banding, which is exactly what they did, and then improve the AI, or rather just give back the AI iteration that was during Pioneer test number 1. You can go and check out my videos from that period, and you can see how much differently the AI was behaving back then than it is right now. And also they could improve it a little bit. But first, about the tier banding. I think what they did is actually pretty much perfect. 3 to 5 and 5 to 10 seems like quite fair. Maybe I would do 3, 6, 6, 10, but 3, 5, 5, 10 also seems fair. They have the numbers, they know what percentage of players play on what tiers, etc., etc. So they can make the decision based on that. I don't have that data, so it's much harder for me to say that. But I can just, based on my own experience and knowledge of the balance of the game, which the developers may or may not be lacking. But in general, that's a very, very good change. Protects the new players from getting noob stomped by the experienced players with tiers 7, 8, 9, 10 that are much, much, much more powerful than the tier 3, 4, 5. So that's very good. These guys are being protected. Well, the tier 5 is not entirely protected. That's why I think maybe tier 6 would be better for that barrier. But again, tier 5 is fine. So that's good. Ideally, later on, I would see 3-5, 5-7, 7-10, or 3-5, 5-8, 8-10. But I think the previous is better, 5-7, 7-10. And obviously they cannot do it right now because there's probably not enough players to do that, and then you just have too many bots per team, right? Which is not what they want, which is not what the players want. But after they release the new Chinese branch of units and a new faction that may or may not rhyme with Persia, may also be gladiators, who knows? Yeah, once they invite more players into the game with the releases of new content, which is what you in general want to do, then they can introduce the changes in matchmaking as well in that regard. And as for the AI, yeah, so what I would change is roll back to the iteration that we had during Pioneer Test number 1 and change it, introduce the change that they introduced later on, but to too big of a degree, right? Because what they did previously is that all the AI units would just push forward into the enemy points, which was good. It was good enough, right? But then it changed so that half of the units stays and defends the points. Problem is, and we even saw an example of that in my patch notes video, that sometimes it so happens that it puts 6 ranged units on top of a point, and then cavalry comes and just kills it, and the game is over from that place onwards. So in order to avoid that and make it actually smarter and, you know, adapt to the PvP environment, because that change is fine for PvE, good for onboarding new players, letting them have fun and learn new stuff and the basic mechanics of the game, etc. That's really good, don't change that. But in PvP, things are much different, so they need to be adapted, and the same AI that works in PvE does not work in PvP, and it never worked because that's not a new problem, just make that clear. Because AI would take over disconnected players, and when something like that happened, you would essentially play 9v10. And I also have multiple videos showcasing, one even coming out very soon, that having just one disconnected player really, really makes a huge difference, which also is caused by the fact that the potential to throw the game is much higher for a bot player, is much higher than the potential for a good player to carry the game, which I will probably also tackle in the future in one of my videos. So yeah, so what I would change in that AI iteration is that I would put everything going forward except for one melee unit to stay on top of a point and defend it, right, on each point. So right, I guess at the beginning of the battle too. So just write a check in your AI code or whatever. I don't really know anything about AI programming, so, you know, just a general check if condition. So if there is a melee infantry unit on top of a point, go with everything else forward. If there isn't, put one melee infantry on top of a point, go with everything else forward, right? So that in case a human player wants to camp on top of a point, which they sadly very often do, and just deploy stakes and barricades and all the other stuff around it, then sure, let them do that, right? Let the human handle it, and then the AI will go forward, right? Because somebody has to. And if the humans want to go forward and have fun, then AI takes over the protection duty, right? And then that's fine. Although humans very often just leave the point and defend it as well, and then it gets backcapped. So I don't know if you really want to do that, but with AI, I guess you can leave them to do that boring thing, which they do anyway now, but sometimes they do it with ranged units, and then that doesn't work. So yeah, either just bring it back to what it was in Pioneer Test number 1, or that plus that one change that makes sure that AI leaves one unit on top of a point to prevent ninja capping. Obviously, if it's just one unit, it can still be surrounded and routed by 3 units very quickly, and then backup still happens, but it gives a little bit more time for the human players to react, right? So just that. And also, obviously, make the AI use commander abilities, make the AI actually get good units with good commanders instead of only just archers, right? Well, right now it doesn't matter because they don't use commander abilities anyway, but once they do, it will matter. Another thing, they really need to look into matchmaking, because what it does sometimes is really, really weird, where it puts not only the tiers all over the place, but also unit types all over the place. It would be fine if it at least got one thing right. It's like, okay, you prioritize that over the other thing. But it does get both of those things wrong, both the unit tier distribution and unit type distribution. The match just ends up in a clown fiesta that is decided in matchmaking, essentially. And that's also the problem, that a lot of battles, based on very weird matchmaking bullshit shenanigans, are just decided by matchmaking itself. Like, sometimes you just get an unplayable unit composition and there's nothing you can do. If, for example, our party plays a balanced composition of 2 infantry players, 1 cavalry player, 1 ranged player, right? And then matchmaking, oh, you have 1 ranged player in your party? Here's 4 more solo ranged players in your team. The other team, they will get all the cavalry. Try to win that. I mean, obviously it is possible, but it's extremely harder than it is for the other team. So yeah, they really need to look into matchmaking to make sure that shit's balanced a lot better, so that then we can get more enjoyable, more equally balanced battles, in which the actual skill would decide, and not sheer lack of the grace of matchmaking gods or whatever. So yeah, there's that. Also, another thing that I realized after I watched my video, the previous video on the developer number 2, is that they said over here, matchmaking time is currently the biggest challenge we are all facing. Although there are some solutions being prepared for it, it will take a few more weeks before we introduce them. We wanted to make the situation better quickly, even if it was not going to be perfect. Yeah, that is the key. Matchmaking problems with matchmaking times have started really propping up at the end of December, start of January, and have never really recovered since then. So the first changes, they are talking here about 11th of March, but before that there was one more change 2 weeks before that, so at the end of February. So for them, quickly is 2 months of reaction time. The problem started December, end of December, start of January, and they reacted at the end of February. It took 2 months to react to a problem. So I can ask a week or 2, seeing if it's like, does it persist? Is it just a temporal drop or not? And then it's, okay, 2 weeks have passed, yep, okay, yep, that's quite not a temporary thing. Okay, deploy the solution that we have prepared in advance, in case that doesn't improve on itself. And then there we go, after 2 weeks, things are already getting better. But 2 months, they have taken quite a lot of damage. Right, we can compare it to a melee player that has the Studio or Fight in the Shade being shot by ranged units, having the solution right there in his hand, just press the middle ability, But he doesn't. It's like, "Oh, yeah, it will be fine. Yeah, I can take some damage from the ranged units, and then I will complain on the forums that ranged units are OP. But I'll not use my Testudo or Find the Shade or whatever Ratio's ability that I have. Yep. Oh, I will use it now. Oh, I'm in melee, it deactivates. Unless I'm Leonidas, then I'm OP. Which leads me to end of my rant, and I'll go and show the clips. So I'll pause the recording, pull up the clips, and show them to you. Alright, so here's the first clip. Let me play it for you. We have Arcanon's tier 7, rank 2 House Dribble Spears, and we have Leonidas tier 8 Spears over here. They're constantly in Find the Shade. Even at this angle, clear being shot in the ass, they still block 50% of the missiles. So I get further, like, directly into his ass, so now he finally cannot shoot anything. And now I get ambushed by archers. We do have our cavalry countering that, but I do quickly die because of that. They have also tier 9 javelins right behind that. So I got shot by 6 ranged units. Right, and I retreat to heal. And Leonidas is still in Find the Shade, by the way. This unit over here, that's the one I was shooting. He's still in Find the Shade. There's nothing shooting him anymore. He's still in Find the Shade, he doesn't care. Now he finally disables it. Maybe I clicked a different unit. But anyway. Yeah, I just clicked it. He's still in Find the Shade, and he's fighting Archanon. He got shot in the ass by 2 full repeating crossbow volleys, which dealt quite a lot of damage. He was still in Find the Shade, for no reason. And then he still wins, because he has Shield Bash. And there are many, many other situations in which Leonidas just shows how absolutely overpowered he is. As I said, he can ignore ranged fire. Find the Shade works at such ridiculous angles as well. You need to get directly, absolutely directly behind him to start ignoring the Find the Shade. And then Find the Shade doesn't deactivate in melee, doesn't provide any melee penalties. The only melee penalty that you really get is that you can get into Hoplite Phalanx, right, or Pike Phalanx as well, I guess. You cannot get into Phalanx because that's also a formation. You can only be in one formation at a time. So that's the only disadvantage that comes with it. But it doesn't matter because he has Shield Bash, which wins him pretty much every single melee engagement anyway. So, you know, yeah, that's quite OP. Let's get into a second clip as well. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are running ranged meta combo, like the ranged meta combo. Like everything is being set up around ranged. We have Hasdrubal that buffs me with double pay, which gives me reload time, range, and missile weapon damage. And then we also have Caesar, whose VD gives me missile weapon damage and range as well. And my team is also deploying all around me, preventing me from being attacked. But as you can see, they just have melee over here that just close the distance, engage whatever melee protection I have. And it's not like I don't have a lot. I still have quite a lot of melee protection, which is why I'm still alive, right? But I cannot move, essentially. Well, now after they have killed one of the cavalry units that charge us, I can finally move. And now, the actual focus, although cavalry is also quite strong. But now the elephants. They show their back, so I barrage without waiting on the buffs, because I see the opportunity, right? If I barrage them in the ass, that's a lot of damage. But the player who plays the elephants is quite good, turns around immediately, on the spot, because he can do that, because elephants can do that, and he uses Bestial Defense, which gives him additional missile block chance. I do fuck up by the fact that I do not react immediately with Triple Hand. That would lower his missile defense as well. But as you can see, I'm still constantly being buffed by Caesar. Double pay has just expired, so it will come back quite soon as well. There we go, it comes back, so I'm fully buffed. Broyamad, I think he lost one of his units, yep, so I can only get 2 of the buffs. He can go and heal at sea. I don't know if he's going to do that. Right, and we have rank 3, rank 4 melee infantry coming in at those elephants. Those are Sun Rain as well, so piercing shot. Just look at how much damage it dealt. Much more than my Barrage. But it was in the ass as well. But the piercing shot, balanced ability as well, definitely. Doesn't need to get looked into. Knana is the one that needs to be debuffed. So now I have put Hound on all 3 of the elephants. I have the Barrage. I don't have VD, right? And then it takes 2 barrages, fully buffed or almost fully buffed by Caesar and Hasdrubal, and then also very balanced piercing shot to take down elephants. And that's the ranged meta combo that everybody complains to be so overpowered, and yet it cannot even kill 1 player of elephants, and that is combined efforts of 3 different players, right? I provide the damage, 2 of the guys provide buffs, and then Sun Ren provides even more range damage, even though she's playing melee units, because piercing shot is a balanced ability. So yeah, if we can't even do that, kill 1 elephant player by combining the efforts of 4 players who have very synergetic combo that is essentially designed or is the best equipped to kill elephants, then I don't know what to tell you. Is it the ranges that are overpowered? Is maybe elephants? What could that possibly be? And also we had rank advantage as well, right? So our damage should be much higher. And well, because the elephants are only rank 2, here they come back again after 40 seconds. No, sorry, 50. 50 seconds, and they're back on the map, they're back on sea, they're back contesting. But we have used all of our juice, and now we're going to lose sea. Yep, range meta, everyone. And Gunslinger says here, during this battle and after this battle, that yep, elephants are absolutely overpowered. He also doesn't understand what the hell is CA doing. But yeah, it's frustrating to be shot by ranged units, right? So ranged units are the ones that need to be nerfed. Even though here comes an elephant, here comes Leonidas, and just wins the game. Because I will surprise you, this might be groundbreaking discovery. But this game mode isn't about kills. It's about controlling the points, which is, for example, what elephants do really well, because they can just walk through everything they please, including pikes. If you think pikes are a counter to elephants, a little bit, but not very good. Not against a smart elephant player that knows how to deal with pikes. And then there's Leonidas, who also ignores range at any time and wins every single range duel and can just hold a point on his own against 3-4 players. Because he cannot get routed, because he has Battle Cry. Or Hold the Line, they changed the name of the ability. He cannot be shot unless directly in the ass, but you very rarely will have access to that. So he cannot be shot because he has Final Shade, and he can still win pretty much all melee engagements while in Final Shade because he has Shield Bash. And then he can also do a lot of other movement combos. He can easily push into your unit to prevent any sort of fire even from the front, because you just deal a shit ton of friendly fire if you try to do that. So he gets the benefits of Phalanx and Shield Bash and Heavy Thrust all in full power, while still not being able to be shot by ranged units that are supporting your ranged melee, your melee infantry, sorry, because he just walks forward and pushes in, tries to pull through, which he doesn't get punished for because he's in Leonidas, because he's in Phalanx, because he has Shield Bash, because he has Thrust. But yeah, sure, nerf Kanana, yep. Because ranged units deal damage, right? And then in the end, if you go to post-game statistics, right? Whoop, too far. go to post-game statistics. They dealt 1 million damage. Our team has dealt also more, we killed 3k more enemy soldiers. We dealt over 1 million more damage. And we also lost only half of the units that the enemy had. So what? This game is not about damage. It's about controlling points. And the ranged units clearly can do that. I mean, you can deal 1 million damage, which is arguably a very good performance out of the ranged units, right? And it still doesn't really amount to much. And if you would have an equal monster performance on cavalry like that, or melee infantry, that doesn't necessarily include damage. It also includes the tanking, which they can do. It also includes the contesting and capturing that they can do that ranged units really can't. So if you have similar monster performance, like you're really good or you're playing really well with everything you do, then you have a much higher potential to carry a battle than you have with ranged units. At least that was what I observed. And don't get me wrong, I do not play exclusively ranged units. I play a lot of cavalry, I play a lot of infantry, and you know, I am able to compare and see the difference. Whenever I play cavalry or infantry, I feel so much more in control. Because ranged units, if your team is playing well and already winning, the ranged units can make you win even harder. But you're already winning anyway, right? But if you're losing, the ranged units kind of become useless. So, yeah. They really don't have a point, and you can see that in the tournaments. Just watch National Cup, watch the WGI number 2 tournament that I have covered on my channel, and you'll see that in 10v10s, most compositions either have 0 ranged or 1 ranged. You can also watch the other tournaments that I haven't covered on my channel. You can find them on the Chinese YouTube Bilibili. But yeah, it would be difficult to find, I guess, for the Western players. Maybe I'll cover them one day as well, if that's a possibility. I don't know if I have the right patch to play the replays. But yeah. And also people accuse me, like, oh, you have like one specific clip that showcases that. No, that's literally from a few days ago. And I can go back further and further and further and find you multiple examples that also fall into, you know, the narrative I'm trying to present. And it will be, and I won't find many examples that really contradict what I'm trying to say, because what I do is I play a lot and then I agglomerate that, like what's in the middle. Like there are obviously games where I can carry, and I do carry with ranged units. But there are also those that there are many more that I don't, and I'm unable to, even though I do play really well, I think, in a battle. There are also battles where I play badly. I just do acknowledge that, yep, I played very poorly in this battle. So if I lose it, then it's on me. If I win it, then I guess I could carry. But there are battles where I carry, and sometimes I don't even win, right? Even though my 1 million damage performance. So, yeah. I guess that's it. I don't really want to look up any more clips. Videos are being made out of a lot of them. Go and watch them. Go and listen to what I have to say if you are interested in it. And if maybe one of the developers are watching me, then they should definitely be interested in it, because it's their game that they're responsible to balance. To balance. There we go. Yep, there we go. English grammar hard. My brain doesn't work apparently anymore after ranting. So yeah. Until the developers improve Arena in whatever way they want, I'll see you on Arena's Battlefields Commanders. And after that, I'll also see you there. Especially then, because then it will be better, right? You know what? Fuck it. People are going to abuse me all kinds of stuff, and after I show these battles, people will accuse me that I just want to show off or whatever. Like, people are people after all. So yeah, I'm going to show you anyway. It's quite some few more interesting examples. So I'm going to speed this up by... that's too much apparently. I do speed it up too much. There we go. Okay, that's the extent of it, I guess. Or maybe just needed 2 and 3, so I don't know. But yeah, here at B, at the beginning of the battle, we just went to B, from E to B, we captured it, carried that flank, but our team managed to lose everything else, and then because of that, enemies flooded back into B, and we were just heavily outnumbered. It became unplayable there for me. Luckily, we do have an MVP over there, TW Capybara, who is going to do what melee units can do, what range units absolutely cannot do. And despite the presence of the enemy in the area, he's going to stand right at the edge of C and cap it, preventing them from entering. Perfectly played, very nicely. So, as the top of the hill kind of became unplayable for me, I decided to go into the city and help our team over there, especially seeing that there are already some resources being committed over there. So, as I'm also a counter to an elephant, I go there, kill them, to let our team cap D, which is what is about to happen. Let me skip forward a little bit. Yep, we cap D. Again, glaives played very well, stopped the cavalry from getting inside the point. And luckily, since this is the city, it's much easier to block off the cavalry than it is on top of B, where it's open ground. But sadly, we're already losing C. The enemy team is overwhelming us there, and we're losing quite heavily on points, as you can see. And now more and more glaives are pouring into A. We skip ahead. They push us out, essentially. They defend the point. We hold them in the streets. Kind of being put under pressure over there, but my team deals kind of well with that. And then we get on top of A. And we cap it. And then I try to get C. 3 points to 2, and our team is attacking B. As you can see, my party isn't even there. I told them I'll just try to carry the city while you go and carry everything else. And here another example. This guy took 10k damage from my missiles before using Find the Shade. Here, thanks to poison, I'm actually able to kite them, plus I have speed buffs as well. But I'm being pushed out, and C is not being able to be supported by me. It is being contested by somebody else. As you can see, we have 6 units of glaives pushing in, and there's only 1 unit of Lanidas over there. I see that there are some reinforcements being sent by the enemy team as well. But I'm not able to find her because, well, glaive units are walking towards me, and I cannot ignore them, right? So I need to deal with them first, which I eventually do, thanks to the help of that glaive player in my team as well. And yeah, we have an interesting cavalry player over there, triple charging a unit of archers instead of just using 1 unit. That would achieve exactly the same. I'm trying to clear the point C from the enemy units, trying to get it. Can we do it? No, elephants just ignores the melee units that are fighting him, walks out of a point, buys a lot of time for his allied infantry to arrive, even though we're literally like 1 second away from capturing C. The elephant's definitely not an overpowered unit, it just walks through. If you remember, at the beginning of this clip, glaive player did exactly the same, right? But he faced other melee units, other melee infantry, so he could stop them in front of the point, and by playing well, he could have captured the point. Elephants don't care about you playing well, they'll just walk through and get on over the point. So yeah, there's that. I'm still desperately trying to clear the point, but, well, I don't have the damage output to do it. The enemy infantry units kill our infantry units, the elephants are still a nuisance. And yeah, still didn't capture C, but luckily the other points we captured are still there and they're not being contested, so we're getting back into the game in terms of points. And now I do get betrayed by my allied cavalry player, who could have stopped the enemy cavalry, but doesn't. And now he charges me, so that I cannot run away from the enemy cavalry that he should have stopped. So I kindly ask him which team is he playing for. And yeah, I'm forced to retreat and heal, and C has been locked by the enemy team. And my allies, Ko and Enosh, desperately try to get on top of B to just contest it, to stop them from getting the points. Ko finds a really nice charge, obliterating one of the units immediately. Something that people claim that only range units can do. Cavalry can do it as well. Find the Ryu charge and you'll delete them. So yeah, I'm going to support C. A is being contested, but there's not much I can do over there. Trying to help over here. As you can see, we're barely getting ahead in points, and well, we're going to win by 10 points. By 10 points. And now look at the statistics. I also showed the scoreboard in the middle of the battle after losing at B and going to the city. So I got almost 1 million damage over here, and that's in tier 7 matchmaking. And you're saying it's range meta, then let's compare the ranged units. The enemy team had 1 ranged player, our team had 2 ranged players, me and Slingers. And if you look at the number of damage dealt, if you were to remove me and Drachnowell from the equation, the damage would be pretty much the same, right? So I pretty much, my 985k damage difference over his 524k difference, k damage, is the difference between our two teams. So if I outperform the enemy ranged player, almost double the damage, and we win by 10 points, and it's ranged meta, as in ranged units dictate the outcome of the battle, that doesn't add up. It just doesn't. And we had 2 ranged players, so if you have 2 ranged players and Slingers counter the enemy archers as well, which maybe is part of the reason why he didn't do as much damage as I did, right? Because he got countered by Slingers. Also, well, I got countered by cavalry, both the enemy and allied cavalry, as we had 1 Leonidas cavalry player, that is definitely very efficient, and we also had a bot that was a bot at the very beginning. You also see the enemy dogs being a bot, but that guy disconnected somewhere throughout the battle, and it doesn't really show when, because he didn't have the AI symbol until the very end. So maybe he disconnected at the very end. I don't know. I don't know what's the case there. But it was a very equal battle. As you can see, my performance, well, maybe just barely carried us, right? But if I outperformed the enemy archer by twice the amount of damage, if the range meta was true, then the victory shouldn't be by 10 points, it should be by, I don't know, 1,000 points or something. And you saw the melee units and how I was dependent on the melee units doing well and supporting me and blocking the enemy infantry so I can do anything, right? So it's very much a team game, and well, as much as the glaives can carry solo, as you could see there, he capped C, and that's essentially what was about. If he didn't cap C then, he would have lost. That was like one of the carry points of this battle. Oh yeah, that's the end of this clip, analysis of this clip, I guess, and I'll show you another one. Okay, how about this one? This is matchmaking shenanigans. If you think I'm making this shit up, you'll see the team compositions on both sides. Let me skip past the deployment, and let's see. We have 2 ranged players, 1 in a party, 1 solo. We have 7 cavalry units, 2 cavalry players plus 1 player with 1 cavalry and 2 melee. The enemy team has 1, 2, 3, 4 ranged players plus triple light artillery, 0 cavalry as well. It's good if, for example, put that cavalry player over on this team, and then it would be 3 versus 4 cavalry units instead of 7 versus 0. Could have also given us one of the ranged players, so that would be then 3 versus 3 instead of 2 versus 4 plus light artillery. But it decided to not do that. So we just captured E. I didn't even really look how that happened, but I know that there were some ranged meta memes involved. Just 2 minutes into our battle. Easy. Okay, let me skip ahead. As you can see, our cavalry, tier 3 cavalry at that, going against tier 9 archers, just having the field day. So maybe because the matchmaking kind of much more prioritizes the unit tiers rather than unit types. As you can see, they have tier 3 infantry and we have tier 3 cavalry, so maybe that's what happened over there. The rangers can delete units in 3 seconds. Nope, cavalry can do that as well. Just charge them in the ass, rout them, finish them off. Easy. Get control of a point. We already captured E as well. And what can the enemy team do with half the team being ranged, unable to contest the points and being melee? Not much, I can tell you that. As you can see, they managed to capture C at the very beginning because, well, nobody really went there from our team, and, well, after we went there, they can't get it back. Here I have some fun with melee infantry. Let me skip that. Yep. And I will go probably heal up. Ooh. That archer player juked me. And yeah. This is where the fun begins. Where the ranged meta memes truly start kicking in. And you'll maybe see, oh, but look, Mister, those ranged units are dealing damage to you, possibly even killing some of your units. Well, also as well, yes, because there are 4 ranged players that are not counting the light artillery, right? So, if I'm going 1 cavalry player against so many ranged units, yes, I'm not an absolute counter that they cannot touch me and I just obliterate them. That's not really the case. Unless you are certain units with certain abilities that give you 100% missile block chance on cavalry. Then yeah, I guess I would be quite invincible to the ranged units, but tier 7 Roman cavalry is not one of those combinations. Tier 7 Roman cavalry and Scipio, I should say. As you can see, yep, triple barrage from tier 9 archers, just charge forward and there goes their barrage. There's really nothing that the enemy team could do to win this battle. It's over in matchmaking. It doesn't matter how well they play. They will pretty much always get obliterated. They would really need to be 10 times better than us. We would need to do all the wrong decisions, all the stupid things. But as long as we just unga bunga push forward, rush B, then we win. And as you can see, we won. We are capturing their base with 13 units versus 3. They're all pushed back to their healing zone behind the base, which is the only thing that they have remaining, and they have gotten only 278 points. So yeah, certain battles are absolutely over in matchmaking. 17 units versus 1 in the base at the end of the battle, almost the base captured, but he got 3,500 points earlier. And then, the biggest surprise, look, it's ranged meta. The ranged player is at the very top, dealt most damage, killed most units, lost the least, captured the most, only didn't have the most contesting time. Yeah, it's ranged meta. And the enemy team, same. Also, ranged player on the top. Clearly, the ranged absolutely dominate. Yeah, that's how some people will see it. God damn it, fucking ranged meta. Ah. Yeah, sure. I mean, not to detriment to Haxor, it's like, I'm sure he played well, but I'm also pretty sure that wasn't the reason we won the battle. I think it was all the cavalry just rampaging throughout the enemy backlines, just charging after charging ranged units. Yeah, that's my analysis of this battle, and what kind of bullshit matchmaking comes up with. Sometimes I'm on the receiving end, well, both ends are receiving really, because it's matchmaking that gives us. Sometimes on the better end and sometimes on the worse end. Sometimes I'm in the team that gets 5 ranged players versus only 1 ranged player on the enemy team. Well, what can you do? It's ranged meta, right? It's good luck winning that. So, yeah. Let's get to another clip. Okay, how about this one? I'm also considering making a video on it in the future. I wanted to do it with Gunslinger, but he kinda isn't available. So we queue out at the same time, and he ends up being in the enemy team. And yeah, and what happens? He shows why elephants are OP. He essentially carries this battle absolutely for his team. I apply poison to him, right? I am pretty much direct counter to Gunslinger. It's really hard to find something that deals with elephants better than repeating crossbows with poison. Well, Kanana with Hunt maybe, but yeah, no. Definitely this is better. And look, he's just standing there against 3 of our players. We have Germanicus with Vengeance. I don't know if he's using it, probably not, because he knows I'm there and I'll kill them. But he buys a lot of time. Meanwhile, 2 units of dogs just ate our infantry up there. Luckily I came able to finish them. And our cavalry starts backcapping A, which is good, really good, because this game mode is after all about capturing points, and they managed to flip it, which is the most important thing. So now they don't have a healing zone, they don't have a spawning zone there. But that cavalry is going to be pushed out by spears and elephants. They also have dogs incoming. So we are trying to rush there with our own melee units to get on top of the point. And sadly I'm the one front lines, right? And we really need to get there before they start recapturing it. So I walk for an elephant, which is something I shouldn't do, right? But in this case I kind of have to, just to make it inside of capture point. But I do stop there for a second. I thought I would be inside, but I wasn't. I do fuck up. And that's kind of on me. I did fuck up there. But I don't know if we could have won it anyway in the long run. So the elephants are pushing back. I split up, start shooting them in the ass. I think I'm doing it pretty well. It's essentially by the book, right? But the distance keeps increasing as he keeps pushing in different directions. And the VLC media player cannot comprehend the fact that I want to play the battle a little bit faster. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, and I do eventually take down the elephants, right? I deal the damage, the elephants end up dealing no damage, right? So can argue for that. Okay, we capture A. Finally do it. Team we lost C, but they hold on to E, so that's fine. Slowly winning. The DLC doesn't really cope well with the battle being sped up and also me skipping through. And here comes Gunslinger, and the fact that we killed him so many times is actually beneficial for him, because he loses all the XP he accumulates. Which means he will respawn sooner, faster. And that also means that or rather, sorry, elephants, as I lost my thought, the elephants don't need ranks, they don't need the chevrons to perform well. Because they will suffer only AP damage pretty much from all the sources anyway. So it's not like if I have rank 4, his elephants are rank 0, I'll deal more than AP. I'll still deal only AP damage anyway. And that's true pretty much for everything. So that doesn't help, and he will respawn sooner, which is all he needs to do. He just needs to push forward, provide pressure, and buy time for his team, which is exactly what he's doing. Gunslinger is an extremely good player, and he knows what he's doing with elephants. And whether I am a good player and I know what I'm doing with my ranged units, I leave it up to you to the comments, but I'm pretty sure what you're going to say. Okay, so managed to clear C, but oops, Gunslinger has respawned, and he's on top of the point, and he's buying time for his team. Luckily, we just barely managed to flip it before he got in, but it will take a long, very long time for us to kill him. Yep. And that is already like, what, times 4 speed? I don't know. Maybe not times 4, no. It's times 2, times 3, something like that. And yeah, but reinforcements have arrived. His elephants also killed quite a lot of the units that were contesting inside. Yeah, but I keep shooting him. It's range meta. Yep. I do a lot of damage, yes, but the point still isn't captured. Now Gunslinger dies. We still need to clear the spears that got on. They are only tier 3. See, they're almost dead. Now we capture. Unlikely the spawning zone wasn't there for a gunslinger, so he couldn't respawn at C. Couldn't get in time. So we do get C again against him. A is neutral for some reason. Seems like we are capping it. So now I decide I'm going to help E. Let's keep ahead as to something starts happening. Oh, but C is under pressure, so we get to respond to that. Need to get our melee units in there. But yeah, their blocking was off. Cavalry charges in, buys us some time. But cavalry is no elephants. But did they walk for stakes? They did walk for stakes. Also, that was an enemy cavalry, I think. Was it? No, the enemy doesn't have cavalry. Yeah, that's stays running highlight. That was our cavalry that walked 3 enemy stakes. Yeah, that was painful. This guy's walking this dude out. This guy doesn't walk in to find the shade. Good enough. Okay, so we do manage to defend C. I'm under pressure by dogs. Can't really get close. I need to be very, very careful. Need to make sure that they catch aggro on something else. Once they catch aggro on me, even if there's just a few dogs, pretty bad. And I want to push in there, but I can't because the enemy has archers. And as you can see, they counter me pretty fucking heavily. So I'm out. I try to heal there, but dogs come in and disrupt my healing. I'm being slightly trolled here by my dog player who tries to heal at the base, which he cannot do. Yep, he still tries to heal at the base. I'm telling you, dude, you're not healing at the base. They're denying the healing. And he's like, nope, I'm gonna heal there. So I went to D to heal there, which I know I can. There we go. We still have any points. We're not ahead in capture points though, so we need to get something back, otherwise we are going to lose. Plus they're contesting A. Okay, we managed to push out the archers through the forest, which is nice. See, I'm kind of shooting him in the ass, but he's Leonidas, so he's like 270 degrees protection. And only now somewhat 30%, 20% of my missiles lands in him. Right? And yeah, we would solely capture E, but Gunslinger is here with his elephants. Luckily he leveled up a little bit, so now his death timer is 20 seconds longer. That helps slightly, I guess. But just look how much time he buys, and the point is still theirs. They can spawn any units. The 2 players just spawn in because Gunslinger is buying time. Like I need to kite away from him because otherwise I die, and he just stands there. He knows. That's the point up to which he needs to push. He doesn't push even further forward because then he would expose his back, right? So he stands exactly in the point he needs to stand. Like, he understands the elephants, how he needs to play them. And there we go, we can capture it because 2 or 3 players have respawned in the time that he held the point. Yeah, maybe any other unit. Well, if he had Leonidas, he could do almost the same. But Leonidas, we could at least block and maybe cap before he gets over the point. Elephants can just walk straight through. But Leonidas is essentially the melee infantry equivalent of an elephant. Sometimes even more ridiculous in certain manners, in damage output, for example. So yeah, trying to get C, but elephants are coming. I cannot close the distance to the archers, right? I need to run away from them. I mean, I could face them and I could 1v1 them, try to 1v1 them, but I cannot because there's an elephant in my face. So thanks to that, the enemy archers can do whatever the hell they want because I'm under pressure of the elephants. So, yeah. Now I use poison. He has bestial defense. He moves very, very slowly. I still need to respect that. And he buys a shit ton of time for his team. I can sort of walk around him. This is down to only 1 elephant. I decided to just finish him off frontally. He was close enough. But that should not really make a difference. Let's see if we can take C in time before Gunslinger respawns. That was a long time ago, so I don't really remember how this battle went. Okay, we managed to flip the point. Gunslinger doesn't seem to be here. We managed to capture. Hooray! And yeah, sadly our infantry player isn't walking forward, which you would need to do to prevent them from contesting the point, but it's still locked for 40 seconds, so it's not the end of the world. And we need to contest the enemy points in order to bring it back. Gunslinger, he's just going to walk on top of A, contest that, so we don't get points from A. Cavalry obviously cannot do the same thing, so it just dies after charging in. So we send our infantry and melee over there. And yeah, we're trying to prevent them from getting on top of C. But dogs can't really do that, and our infantry is like, oh, I'm going to let them walk on top of C. And there's also some logic behind it, right? Because the game rewards you for contesting points. So now that player that didn't prevent the enemy from getting on top of the point, he's getting higher ranking position, right? Because he's contesting the point, so he's getting the contesting time, and the game's like, yeah, that's good. That's good that you're contesting the point. But you know what would be better? Not allowing the enemy to contest the point, and we would be getting more points per second. So yeah, which is also what elephants are extremely good at. Getting on top of the points that are captured by the enemy and contesting it. Which is exactly what Gunslinger did. And would you look at that? A lot of damage I dealt. Again, double the damage of the enemy ranged player. They also had... Actually... Yes, I'm the only ranged player in my team, right? If you disregard the Scipio light artillery. And the enemy team has 3 ranged players. Those were tier 8 archers that counter me. You saw that in action. He killed me two times. They also had exactly the same tier 9 repeating crossbows in the enemy team. And if you add the damage of all 3 ranged players in the enemy team, it's less damage that I dealt. Quo dealt only half the damage I dealt, but he killed more soldiers. That's also an interesting thing, but I guess I was dealing a lot of damage to those elephants. And Gunslinger, dead bottom, lost 22 elephants across this battle. Still killed 1k soldiers and dealt almost the highest damage in his team, 384k, compared to 432, 421, and 417. As you can see, the enemy archer didn't really deal that much more damage than the infantry, just barely, just 11k more than Leonidas. And Leonidas also contests the points, captures them, provides all the other stuff. It's range meta, obviously it's range meta. You need to nerf repeating crossbows, you need to nerf Cananeb, nerf Ambiorix, yep. Another clip, let's go. Okay, so how about this one? Here I'm playing crossbows, Canana archers tier 9s, because my allies are playing tier 8s. This is just a casual battle. You play, hello. Hey, there we go. Okay, so this is something very interesting here. Oh, look, Leonidas. Let's see how he deals with being alone. Also has one. Oh, it's premium. I see what he does. Yeah, he gets more XP that way. So he's alone against our entire party of dogs, archers, cavalry, and infantry. Let's see. Cavalry is dead. Okay. I will kill the archers most likely. Yeah, I do use barrage on them. I cannot do anything to Leonidas anyway because he's in fight in the shade. Tier 3 cavalry comes in from behind. It gets obliterated because, well, it's tier 3 versus tier 9. But actually this player is really good. He knows really what he needs to do. As he also forced me in an uncomfortable position. He failed to hold on to Leonidas. And he's still alive. Meanwhile, the enemy team has already captured B. We are still trying to kill Leonidas 1 versus 4. Nope, still not. Nope. There we go, finally. B is already captured, by the way. Yep. They are also capturing C. because all they needed to hold our entire party of 4 players was Leonidas. A little bit of cavalry pressure. So about that cavalry player, the tier 3 guy, he really understands what he needs to do in this battle, which is walk forward. And I keep telling you, just walk forward and he'll be very useful to your team, which is what the enemy tier 3, tier 4 cavalry did constantly. Sadly, ours didn't. So let me skip ahead. We're trying to deny the healing over here, failing or not failing to some degree. God damn it, feels you. Why do you suck so much? So yeah. As the enemy teams... Fuck's sake. Really? As the enemy team keeps respawning there, I guess I'll just keep skipping and keep it at normal speed. So as the enemy team keeps spawning on there, not healing, spawning new units in the run C, we are slowly running out of melee units, right? He just pulled through 2 glaives to just get to me. Because he's Leonidas, he can do that. I said Leonidas is kind of melee infantry elephant, right? It's the infantry version of an elephant. He just pulled through 2 glaives, didn't suffer that much damage really, and straight to my archers. Obviously I should have respected that, but I maybe didn't quite expect him to do so. But he did. So yeah, because of the melee pressure that constantly keeps pouring out of the point, I'm being forced far away enough so that I can no longer deny the healing. Because they keep respawning, they keep pushing us back, and our melee just runs out of HP bars. And here I am forced. I definitely wouldn't like to charge barrage that cavalry. I would like to use it on something else. Leonidas just ignores it. He has find the shade, obviously. Yeah, I was forced to barrage tier 3 cavalry because I didn't have melee units next to me that could stop it. So I needed to kill it before it would charge me, because if it would charge me, I may not die, but I would suffer a lot of damage that I didn't want to suffer. And by the constant pressure pouring out of melee units, they just keep spawning, keep walking forward, keep spawning, keep walking forward, right? And that pressure that they keep providing just keeps us in place. We try to advance towards C, we try to contest C, but we cannot even get past their healing zone that we're trying to deny, because healing zone is also a spawning zone. And yeah, we're slowly getting surrounded. Skip ahead. Yeah, I'm trying to deal with the archers, getting at them, but I pay the price of getting pushed by enemy dogs and spears. And there's a point in here that I think I should have recalled back to base after Axor here holds of the spears and I run away from. I should recall here. I should recall back to the base, but I stay. And then I die. There is one mistake that I made during this battle, I guess. But our party... What, is it even... Is it actual speed? Yeah, it is the actual speed. Yeah, our party plays really well here. Solkung here, MVP just backcaps E from under the noses of the enemy. You saw that there was a dog player there. You just didn't see. And thanks to that, Solkung will backcap E. Yeah, the dog player reacts, but too late. Now we try getting C. They just left it empty, which is nice. Yeah, we managed to capture it. I needed to barrage tier 4 cavalry again because I was alone without protection and the cavalry was running straight at me. So luckily, because, well, he's tier 4, I can kill him with a barrage. And it's also barbarian cavalry, so close to 0 armor. So and that trick is available to me, and I do, well, look at the enemy units. They have a lot of lightly armored units of low tiers as well, so I do deal a lot of damage to them. But very much the Solkung, again, backcaps another point. He flips D, but the enemy team managed to contest it at the very, very end. The Folkson player, tier 5, again, right? He's at a tier disadvantage here, but he does the right thing. He walks forward towards the point to contest the point. That is the important thing. And their low tier players are playing very well in this battle. I need to give them to that. I'm already rank 4. Already. It's quite late into the battle, alright. over 4,000 points have been secured overall in this battle already. So yeah, we entered the late game, right? And I keep barraging them, and they just keep pouring out of the healing zone. They just keep pouring out, keep pouring out, keep pouring out. Just keep pressuring us, keep forcing us backward, because, well, we are running out of melee infantry HP bars. They recap D, they recap A, and I mean, why is it happening? I'm killing so many soldiers here, right? I'm ranged meta. Just look, they're just standing there, they're just AFK. Right now I'm killing them. It doesn't really matter, because the enemy team is contesting points. Our team isn't. Our team is also isn't really equipped to do it. We have a solo triple javelin player, solo triple crossbow player. We have a player with 2 archers, 1 spears, which also doesn't really help. I've made a video, I don't even remember which one it was, explaining what was the comment section. It was combined, like video touched on it, and then somebody commented about it, and yeah, we had a back and forth conversation where I explained why it doesn't work. Whether just triple solo range. Oh, it was public service announcement most likely, where I said, please do not play solo ranged without a party, right? God can cooperate with you and play around you. Sorry, what was that? Also, if you wonder about the range meta here, if you see that I'm being buffed, well, not at the moment, but I was just before. I was being buffed by double pay. Doesn't really do anything to me because the double pay is tier 8, so I only get range benefit from that. And I guess reload speed outside of barrage, because barrage already gives you maximum reload speed. There's a cap, and I reached that cap with just barrage alone, so the additional reload speed only helps me outside of barrage, not inside of barrage. And you can see they eventually did push all the way to C, because they just keep spawning, pushing, 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 pushing. And what do we have? We have 1 melee over here and 9 ranged. The enemy team, all it needs to do is just walk forward. It is exactly what they do. And they start contesting the point. Well, not now, because they're kind of trying to run around. Our team has deployed stakes, and they're happy. I wonder who did that. Must have been some Roman infantry. So yeah, the enemy team has 1 ranged player and 1 guy with 2 cavalries and 1 ranged, and he's tier 4 as well. So not that much, and we have a lot of questionably useful compositions. So again, maybe that's another battle that we kind of lost in matchmaking, despite mine and my party's best efforts. Solkung absolutely carried this battle with his backcapping. And see, this tier 3 cavalry player, he knows exactly what he's to do. Walk forward and charge, provide pressure, contest the point for a little bit, right? He does exactly what he needs to do. He's tier 3, he doesn't give a fuck that he's tier 3, and he shows those stupid tier 9 archers where their place is. He charges through stakes as well and into pikes, but he does exactly the right thing. He walks forward, he provides pressure, he does some damage while doing so. And yeah, the ranged meta just kind of doesn't work. Also, that feeds into multiple previous battles as well feed into it, but I kind of forgot to mention it. I said that I don't know if I did that in that video that I'm adding this to or not, but I said that oh, by the way, they're capping C. Anyway, the potential for bad players to throw the game is higher than the potential for good players to carry the game. So let's say your team, or the enemy team, has 10 average players, like completely average, right? If we give them an ELO rating, MMR rating, or whatever, a skill rating, call it whatever you want, let's give them 1000 rating, right? And then your team has 8 players with 1000 rating, but it has 1 good player with 1500 rating and has 1 bad player with 500 rating. So across the board the rating is equal, right, 10,000. But the team with 1 bad player and a good player is more likely to lose, because the bad player, by playing bad, has a larger negative influence on the battle than the good player has positive influence on the battle outcome. And here you see 4k kills, 1,352,000 damage. I think that might be world record. I've only seen 3 other players than me cross the 1 million barrier, and also 2 of them have crossed the 1.3 million barrier, but I think I've gotten the highest over it. And I didn't even try. That just came about. Like, I wasn't being buffed by Caesar, I was playing tier 9 rather than tier 10, because, well, as you could see, my allies had only tier 8, so I had to go down to tier 9. So it just kind of came about because, like, all the right circumstances were there, right? And just look at the stats. We dealt almost double the damage. We killed more than double the amount of soldiers. The units are surprisingly close, 72 to 115, but I guess that was, what, ranged units dying over and over? No, those are, well, our Germanicus javelins died 16 times, Haxor died 12 times. Well, the melee units are naturally going to die more often because there's less of them on the front line, so they just keep getting surrounded and killed. Right, and the enemy cavalry player, who arguably was one of the hardest carries of their team, died 29 times, dealt only 46k damage, but he kept respawning and keep pushing forward, and he had so much value for their team. Much more value than our Germanicus javelin player. And I'm not really blaming him for playing what he wants to play, right? I'm kind of blaming Sei for not making that valid, really. I said, yep. Do you have one archer player who does 1.3 million damage, pretty much half damage of his entire team, almost as much damage as all the enemy team combined, and that's still a loss? And you tell me it's ranged meta. If it was ranged meta, my damage would be so powerful, so uncontestable, that I could just carry this battle 1 versus 19. But I couldn't. And it wasn't only me carrying, I also had good players on my side. I had very good party. Those are all good players. Solkung 5 minutes contesting time, 3 captures. Enosh 4 captures, 4 minutes contesting. Also dealt a significant amount of damage. Like, if you delete me out of the equation, that's still pretty high. Okay. But the enemy team had Leonidas spears. And people walking forward. Like, all the enemy team played really, really well. I give them that. My party also played really, really well. And then the rest of my team, they were kind of camping and doing nothing. But then again, they were solo range players. At all, the matchmaking put pretty much all of them on one side. So again, matchmaking shenanigans. So you can say this battle was lost in matchmaking, despite my and my party's best efforts. I think that's enough of the clips. The video now is over 1 hour long. Now the clips alone are, what, also 1 hour, more or less. So, believe me, I have more. I have more. But I also need to go. but yeah, nerf Kanana. Yeah, because she does this. She does this, nerf Kanana. She deals damage, but has absolutely close to zero potential to actually carry the battle to victory. So yeah, nerf Kanana. Yeah, Fonko, exactly. I need to go. See ya. See you on the battlefields, commanders. You know what? Further, fuck it. I still have some more time. I'll show you more clips. So I was talking about, like, I don't envy that person who is responsible for, relying the balance, and the developers need to be knowledgeable about the game. And I know only of one developer who really plays the game. Maybe I should not disclose his name because then you can, target him. So let's say he's in this battle, and it's very rare that I meet him on the battlefields, so I don't know how much he plays. But in general, I don't really see the developers, and I know a few of their names all the way back from Wargaming and Steam, but I assume some of them have moved on to other projects, and there are some new names as well that I maybe don't recognize. Or they're just going incognito, I don't know. But the general feeling that I get is that the developers don't really play their own game. And then they don't really know what's happening, and they just then rely on the feedback from the community, which is not necessarily accurate. So funny enough, here we have me and Gunslinger just carrying the battle with a combination of my cavalry and his elephants. So I serve our artillery player. I'm lucky the enemy just keeps sending one unit after one unit, so I just keep surrounding them and routing them. It's quite easy. Then I prevent D from being backcapped over here. Bum. Because I'm cavalry, I'm fast enough to respond to that. Well, this was kind of my team's fault for letting him through. It's not like it was cavalry or even infantry that went around. They must have went straight through and they just didn't finish them off, or just let them go, and then it almost capped. So yeah, it's good that I managed to notice that and react in time before they capped. And lucky that that was the case, rather than full unit of infantry that I wouldn't be able to defeat with my one unit of cavalry, but I would buy some time and I could send the other two over. So now I split. I have 2 units on the far right flank. I have 2 units on the far left and 1 unit on the far right. Get some cavalry here, there's 9 here. Now I attack the enemy archers at sea that I previously captured. Did I skip over? No, that's the moment here. So the enemy team is heavily pushing D, as you can see on the minimap, slightly on the screen as well. So I zoom in here. So the situation is like, yeah, they're going to lose. Like, my team is going to lose. So I could help there, but I don't think I would make enough of a difference. Like, I would still lose because they have a lot of heavy infantry, also anti-cavalry infantry. So I grab the watchtower over here to see the situation, right? And I see, well, I already assume that A is open. I just want the confirmation. It is open, so I'll just back up it. All right, and if the objective is to flip it, not necessarily to cap it, which I do, and that logs D. And even though the enemy team has almost killed our team over there, and a few more seconds, minutes, I don't know, and D would most likely be captured, but because I flipped A, I completely stopped that in its tracks, and they need to go all the way back here to recapture A, or, well, they did. So I just go away. I achieved my objective. I possibly could have capped A if I stayed with all 3 units on top of it, but again, that wasn't the objective. Objective was to flip it, which I achieved. Prevented the enemy team from capping D. I set them back very, very far behind because of that. Now I try to flank and route. We do have reflank and left flank. I have double pay, God of War. Well, God of War already expired. There is a route, there we go, but it is not strong enough, and I also force back the enemy infantry. But yeah, it's essentially an easy victory from that point onward. Also, haha. See that? There are enemy archers there. I could totally go and kill them. But our allies, kind of, or one ally, kind of saved the enemy archers by putting all barricades in there. Look at this. Look at this fucking fort. And tell me this is good for the game, that something like that is possible. And even look here. Even more. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? And this artillery sits there and laughs at everybody. Another very balanced unit type that I definitely wasn't providing a lot of feedback about, that it needs to be reworked, because the current state of heavy artillery is still bonkers broken, same Same as during wargaming. Yeah. Oh well. The game's over. From there. So just an interesting point that you can totally just carry easily. Just solo carry. Like, I couldn't do something like that with archers. Right? I cannot solo clear a point with my damage. I cannot possibly go back capping, or even if you remember back to the battle at Salernum, where there was an infantry player that perfectly stopped the enemy team from getting on top of the point while also still capping himself. The Rangers cannot do that. Right? They can go and back cap. Cavalry can do all of that. I didn't necessarily deal the most damage, but I'm up there with my damage, and I did a lot of capping and carrying in this battle, I think. Okay, another one. Okay, here's some more. Oh, music. Let's go. Okay, we have ranged units, ranged composition, or rather, well, just one ranged player, two infantry players, and one cavalry player in our party. Let's see how long it takes. Oh, the enemy cavalry kind of wrecks me, because obviously it does. Nicely healing. Yup. No, I'm dead. Okay. Okay, we push back because healing zones. Oh, I get wrecked by cavalry again. Okay. I heal up again. Okay. Push them back. Cavalry still comes. I'm dead again. We push again. We also lost C, by the way. So we kind of here on the clock. And then we finally capture A. And now we need to do something, right? Because we're 1000 points behind. So to get C, but oops, they have Leonidas in there, as you can see. Do we get C? We do get C finally. Okay, we are ahead in point gain, but we are very much still behind in points. We push towards E. I do get wrecked slightly, maybe a lot. We almost capture E, but we also lost D in the process, and A. And yeah, you can say maybe we were strong, maybe range meta, blah blah blah, but it takes a lot of time to capture points like that. We've ranged, right, and cavalry sets you back so much, and yeah, I still again have the most damage by far in the battle. It was actually not the battle I was looking for, so I still need to find that one that I'm thinking of. But anyway, that is a battle from the public service announcement, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and then one change. I change my ranged units into cavalry. So now we have, or well, the change is from one ranged translated to one infantry, right? Because previously we had 2 infantry, 1 cavalry, 1 ranged. Now we have 3 infantry, 1 cavalry. And just look how much faster it will make us cap a point. Because now we are on the side with cavalry on melee pressure. We don't need to bother with defending our ranged units. We can just push forward, and there we go. We capped it. We capped A, we capped C. Our team lost E though, so there's that. And then I just continue flexing on ranged units. Because again, matchmaking, we have 2 ranged players plus 1 light artillery player. The enemy team has 1, 2, that are swords. 3, 4 solo ranged players. None of them are light artillery, so no access to stakes. So yeah, it's just an entire battle of essentially providing pressure, capturing points, killing ranged units. All that I can do solo as cavalry, just routing melee units as well, contesting points, the entire package. Cavalry can pretty much do it all. Unlike ranged units that are heavily team dependent and very limited in terms of what they can do to carry a battle. Oh, whoops, all 6 achievements. Most routing, most contesting, most everything. The only thing I'm lacking is first bat. Oh look, also most damage in with cavalry. Doesn't necessarily have to be ranged units to deal the most damage. Okay, that's the end of this recording. Oh yeah, it's swapped out to the previous one. Okay, let me try to find the battle that I was thinking of before. Okay, found it. There we go. I think this is the one. Let's see. I haven't looked through it yet, but by the title, I think this is the one. I thought it was the previous one. Anyway, okay, they do have elephants. We have what? We have the range composition. I have party with 2 players. Both of them play melee. Yeah, I expected that elephant to be dead for our elephant player to kill him because, well, he had HP advantage and it was a 1v1 with the elephant, but he somehow lost it. So that disrupted me a little bit. And they just respawn because rangers just don't have enough damage output to kill the enemy faster than the enemy is respawning and or healing. So another attempt and a failure because they just keep respawning. They also have Leonidas, they also have Germanicus. So yeah. We lost C in the meantime. So it's like, okay, they just have too many melee units on D. So let's transfer to C, try carrying that. Can we get C over here? It's barely protected. So we do manage to get it, right? We do get it. I already am going back to A because, well, the enemy has a lot of melee units in here. And if you leave them unchecked, they'll just go and capture your point. So our team is barely holding on to D. We carried them at C, and now they also lost A, yeah, so that's not helping. We are going through. I'm denying the healing very, very nicely. But what happens is that they walk forward. I need to respect that. My melee infantry reinforcements arrive, but I'm being pushed far away enough so that I can no longer deny the healing. I just barely denied a very last second with my last focus fire, but now I have an elephant in my face. Arch is behind my back as well. I need to deal with that, otherwise they will kill me, because now the enemy team is providing vision on me. And that means that the enemy can heal. Yep. Okay, I'm helping my team to get to A. I'm still denying the healing. And the thing is, I think I'm playing really well over here. I do make slight mistakes. I think one mistake that I really made here is not denying the healing properly. Okay, see, I'm positioning myself to try to deny the healing, but I just barely not make it, as I am trying to clear the units on top of the point as well. So that is one mistake that I made, definitely. Right, and we do carry D, but in the meantime, while we go and carry a D, our team loses C and B. So yeah, they're literally unable to hold anything. Is it because of the team composition? Let's see. And we do have one bot. So that also further feeds into, if you have one bot in your team, it's very difficult to carry 9v10. But it's not really that much apparent in this situation, I think. I don't know. All I know is that I think that I played really well in this battle. And despite my honest best efforts as ranged units, and my teammates also played quite well, my party members at least, yeah, we lost. The evening has only one elephant as well. And again, yeah, the most damage. And people will see that, right? Oh, look at those ranged units that dealt so much damage. Did you actually see the battle? Did you see those ranged units like actually having impact on the outcome of the battle? Very arguable. Our elephants hit 10 minutes contesting time. Our infantry as well, 10 minutes. Cheddar, 8.5. I hit 2.5 as ranged units. Yeah. Sad times. Well, I hope you believe me that I do have many more recordings that feed into that narrative. But, well, multiple narratives as well. I'm thinking of making a video in the matter of if I made patch notes, if I made a patch, what would I do there? How I would try to change the balance. And some of my ideas are, you know, very difficult to predict as they would turn out without testing and actually seeing them in action. But I think they would be worth a try, and always, if it doesn't work, you can revert it back. It's like, okay, well, we did an experiment, it didn't work, back to what it was before, right? But if it works, it's like, hey, that turned out to be a good idea. Now the battles are more balanced. So yeah, I will probably do a video. I know we know that the patch is coming, alright, from that developer log. So after that patch comes out, and I will most likely not like it because they're nerfing Kenane, and I think shouldn't be nerfed. I think other things should be nerfed, and the game mode would be still adjusted. Again, I made a video called tweaking the game mode. There we go. To change the current rules of the game mode to make it more fair, more balanced, etc. for all the unit types. So yeah, I'll probably release a video about what I would do if I were to write one patch and how would I improve the game. And maybe some of that feedback will reach the developers, but then again, they will not listen to me because I have no experience in this game, I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm just biased towards ranged units. Although, wait a second. Yeah. So if you look at my profile, let's see how much I play of different unit types. 8%, well, uses 8, and then on the tooltip it says 7, whatever. 8% javelins, 1% slinger, 1% light artillery, some pikemen, spearmen. Okay, that's 10% ranged, 33% ranged, 41%, 46% range, 46% ranged. And then we have cavalry, 5% sword cavalry plus 20 or 5 spear cavalry. God damn it. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I got 30% cavalry, and then that means 20% infantry, right? So I have roughly equal split between ranged units and melee units. Then melee units are split between 30% cavalry and 20% infantry. So yeah, I like to play ranged units. That's what I think I play the best. I'm best at ranged units. As in, my ranged play is better than my cavalry play and my infantry play. Not that I am the best ranged player, although I am. So that's the other point, obviously. So yeah. If you think I'm biased and I don't have experience in other unit types, that's just simply not true. Because I have, as you can see, 50-50 split between ranged and non-ranged, ranged and melee. It's just maybe my videos are mostly about ranged because, well, I also feel that this is the most, troubling topic, let's say, within our community, because everybody around me says range meta, range is overpowered, and then developers agree with them or just try to appease them. It's like, yeah, we will nerf range, and make my life more miserable, or my play more miserable. But anyway, I need to go. I think that's enough. That is a very, very long developer log update, even though the log itself is like 3 paragraphs long. I hope people look like, what the fuck? 1.5 hour long video for 3 paragraphs? Apparently, yes. But I also need to get that out of my system. So yeah, sure, nerf Kenane. I'll see you on the arena's battlefields with nerf Kenane or not. Well, depends on what I will play. Maybe I'll stop playing Kenane and everybody will be happy. And maybe then it will, oh shit, it's cavalry meta after all. We start playing cavalry.